I greet you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you for coming back this evening as we pursue the love of God and how God dared completely to empty himself to come and reclaim his land back unto himself, his people back unto himself. This is what we call good news, by the way. You see? Yes, good news is not anything but God's work on my behalf, reclaiming this very planet he created back unto himself. When John says God is love, by the way, that is not an introductory statement. That is a conclusion. He looked back after many years of how God has been struggling, you know, and that was by the time John wrote that phrase in church history, that was the time the Jews were beginning to compile, you see, the traditions of what they can claim to be special communication of Yahweh to them. Exile had already taken place, and we will cover that very quickly because we have a lot of material for this week, you know. And when John says, therefore, God is who? Is love. When John makes such statements, it is after a very quick survey of many years, and he has seen how God has dedicated his entire life, by the way. You know, it is surprising what our God can do to come so low to a point of talking to you as if he's begging you. It is we who are bossy, you know. If we have power, we just click our fingers and things happen, but it is not himself. In the morning, we discovered that he is now working with the patriarchs and is moving with them carefully, including even their culture. Actually, he's working within their culture. He's totally defenseless. He can't go outside it because the minds of people cannot grasp if he dares to go outside what they know. He's totally defenseless. Jacob came, by the way, by wrong means, you know, yes, but God did not protest. Jacob became the heir of Yahweh. And Yahweh had promised Abraham that go and get land somewhere, and I give it to you. By the way, it is not Abraham who was in need of land. It was God himself, per culture of those days. You cannot become a national God when you have no land. You see? Yes, you can't. So it was Yahweh himself who was very much in need of land so that he can become a national God. They had to graduate 3 times in those days. You graduate from a homestead God after you have fulfilled some elements of that particular graduation. And if you read my book, especially chapter 3, that's where I am basing my presentation. If other chapters disturb you, you just go to chapter 3. It will give you most of the details we are now covering. You see, it is entitled Vortex. God marches to universalism. You see, if you have any problem with English, vortex simply means a mixture of many things. When Jacob produced kids and God made sure that they go in Egypt and they stay there until they multiplied to a certain level of becoming a nation. Hadn't he done that, no way he would have gotten a nation. But as we studied, all of us here, how God works, it is just when God begins to do his system, make sure there is sometimes, and he always, by the way, there will be suffering. Many of you say, shall we go? Yeah, you shall go. I have been hearing, but are you ready for the suffering? Or you think that it is a silver platter? These descendants who would be God's people had to become slaves first. Don't ask me why. I am just only recounting. They became slaves, but when they grew in number, another requirement was not only land. It was that when a god has reached a level of a national god, he has to have a name. And that's why when he came to reveal, all of that is culture. It isn't his things, it is just culture. When he is going to reveal himself to Moses, who is looking after sheep, Moses knew very well when he told him, go to Pharaoh and tell Pharaoh that let my people go. Moses knew that is impossible. How can I do that? It was not humility. It was the impossibility of the task. Why? For the following reasons. Yahweh was up to that time is sending on the level of a homestead god. And there were already gods in Egypt who have already graduated to the level of empires. How can I go? Number two, you really don't have a name. So Moses is going to say, if I go to Pharaoh, what will I say? What is your name? And immediately God has a name. For the first time, we are stumbling on the name of Yahweh in the book of Exodus, chapter 3, FF. I think I'm talking to people who know the Bible. And when I heard your pastor putting on ice, and putting on ice cream, and then he says, oh, Professor Mugerwa will not give you. He may be correct, because I assume that some of you, the way you people look very intelligent, brilliant, and these are just elementary issues in our homes. I knew them ever since I was 7 to know that God called Moses, and therefore we don't have very much time to analyze verse per verse because we may never finish. And therefore Moses fired back. What is your name? When I go to Pharaoh and I tell him that you have sent me, what is your name? At least graduate to a certain level before you can talk to those gods who have already graduated. He says, my name is Yahweh. Up to now, we don't know its proper pronunciation because the Jews killed it early because of its sublimity and respect, and they began to swallow the gutturals, and to decided they swallow the gutturals, and they shake their heads, and it is contended whether Yahweh or Yahweh. So the name, we can go with that pronunciation, that my name is Yahweh. And this is precisely what chapter 1 of the defenseless God is all about. Yahweh has entered in the gallery of other gods now. They are going to tussle it out together. They are going to tussle it out. The other gods didn't know what is invading this very planet. They were usurpers. But now the owner himself has come. And he is going to play the game in a way, even if it means brutality, he will play it that way. So that he may take back what is his. And I told you in the morning that the main elements he wanted to take back is you and me, beings. And then he tells him, go and tell him that I'm Yahweh, and that's the name I'm going to be known for generations and generations. Yahweh is hard to translate. Chapter 1 of my book will show you how difficult Yahweh is to translate. But if you find it in a certain grammatical setup, it means he who has the ability to call things out of nothing. But if again you find it in another grammatical setting, it can mean gracious, kind, loving. So it is such a complex name because it came from him himself. That's the name, I will be known. And you know the whole story, you people, that Moses began to go to Egypt to face Pharaoh. And immediately we will have to jump a lot of information there because I wanted to finish this tomorrow before we go to the New Testament. You see? He goes to Pharaoh. He reaches Egypt. Commentators and the Egyptologists believe that the one who was in power might have been his competitor, but others disagree. But somehow he managed to reach Pharaoh. Pharaoh was an emperor. He doesn't sit on outside waiting for shepherds to come and see him. There's a lot of conversation below the line. Once a competitor has come back, Pharaoh, how has he come back? Helpless, useless, and etc. But whatever the conversation was, Moses starts before Pharaoh. And he says, my God has sent me. It's okay. No problem. Yes, your God has sent you. What is his name? His name is Yahweh. Yahweh? Yes. Pharaoh might have been intransigent, but he's raising a very fundamental observation according to culture in those days. Pharaoh said, who is this Yahweh? Those questions offend you now because of the timing you are in now. And you take your mind from where you are now and you read it back to, you think Pharaoh would, what you know, that's what Pharaoh must have known at that time. We call that anachronistic thinking. But Pharaoh raised a genuine question. Who is this Yahweh that I should listen to him? In other words, is he a God who is worthy listening to? The Egyptologists tell us that he called his priests, whose gods have succeeded to make an empire. You know, God said it, I told you they had to graduate. Homestead, national, empire. This Yahweh who is speaking is on which ladder? On which? I want to know. So he calls the priests and says, check in the top 10 gods who are tough. In other words, those who are capable of building empires. Is Yahweh, his name there, top 10. They checked and his name was not there. They brought back report that we don't see anywhere any name called Yahweh. Oh, Moses, I am not going to let my people go, your people go. Because this Yahweh you are informing me is on homestead level. He's a P1 student. And he's looking to be the CEO of airliners. Impossible. But Pharaoh did not know at that time that what has invaded him, he will live to regret. God had come to fight. He's a fighter. That's why in OT, God is depicted by the Jews themselves or by the Hebrews. Jews is a recent thing, but by the Hebrews as a fighter, as a field marshal. Yes, and he's always on the horse with a sword, because in those days, those were the tanks of tough fighters. A sword. And until this day, you people, you prayed to God to send the angels to guard your homes with the swords. It's simply because you read them in the Bible. Yeah, I know that. Yahweh tells Moses. Moses was very discouraged. God, you gave me a task to do, but you are not known anywhere. You see, even these simple, what are they, miracles of snakes. The author says, even those medicine snakes. Simply because this one of Moses ate the others, it does not mean that it is a big deal. The issue is not how many snakes Moses' rod can eat. The issue has ever this Yahweh built an empire? Is he on the level to be listened to? Is he qualified? I have discovered that your God cannot be speaking here. Let us take another hurdle of the culture of those days. Why couldn't Yahweh continue to talk to his people in Egypt, though other gods were there or notwithstanding? The culture can't allow you in those days, if a God you have come of age, and you want to become a national God, go and find your own land. That's where you will cough and command and do anything you want, not in the lands where other gods have already built their own power. Hence, you read the verse, let them go to the wilderness to worship me. Because they can't worship me here, there are already other gods who can stiffen that, but I want to take them to where it is my land, and then they worship me. Hence the commandment, says, I am the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. That is going to be a chorus. Don't have other gods before me. He knew very well that he's talking to people who know that culture very well. Yes. I brought you out with my mighty hand. Therefore, as others claim that there will be no other gods competing with those who have built themselves empires, I also claim you to be mine. Don't have others. God told Moses that the war is on. Don't you worry. And so all of you know how Yahweh picked on Egypt to start a war. I told you that he was ready to be soft where it is soft, to be deadly where it is deadly. For one reason. If I don't bring back this planet unto myself, I will never save anybody on that planet. My creatures will be lost forever. I must save them at any cost. And he did it. By the time Pharaoh, by the way, the praise were tailored in such a way that they were hitting some of those gods who were already praised to be wonderful. Pharaoh was flabbergasted, really. He could not understand a God who's on the level of a homestead to be doing what this God is doing. This is going to be the same thing when we will meet Nebuchadnezzar, when he's fighting for universalism. Tomorrow, I want to go very fast. You see, that's the way he works. Until he broke Pharaoh's back until he even destroyed Pharaoh. But before I leave that point, look at the very beginning when Yahweh is instituting his special relationship with these people. He's the fighter. Their work is to receive. Why? Yahweh is not fighting sins. He's planning to fight the state of, remember, since Friday. You see, he knows very well that you have no ammunition. You can't fight it. That requires God himself. That's why the work of these people was only to receive, to only thank him for whatever he is doing and receive humbly what he is planning for them. On the eve of leaving, he says, just put blood at your doorpost. The passing angel has the term Passover, which will later on in the New Testament become Holy Communion. Churches, after a lot of debate in our church, theologically, the church reluctantly said it is an open communion. But even in some churches, if your history is not properly defined, you don't eat. Isn't that so? You know Kenyans, the way you behave with your religious things. Who are you? Where are you from? Are you giving a tithe? What have you to come to the Lord's Supper? Let me tell you the history of Lord's Supper. And if you have been doing it, stop it. Even if a police of your church, the church says it is an open communion. Where did they get it? We agitate. It says, listen, put blood on the doorpost, only blood. When the passing angel will come, he will look at the blood only and he pass over. He is not going to ask questions. The inhabitants, who are they? Follow me. Just look at blood. Any house which has blood, just pass over. Go. Those inside, whatever they are doing, don't ask. Why? They are covered by that blood. Don't ask. Even if thieves and murderers could come and hide in that house, they were first-born Egyptians, they didn't die. God was not looking for individuals to kill. Said, oh, this is a thief. Angel, kill. He's only saying, when you see blood only, they may not understand the gesture and the symbolism, but the day is coming when they will understand. And God is very patient. Since he is not controlled by time and space as you are, that cannot put him under pressure to be in a hurry. No. You see, even if it would have been Aaron and Moses found and they were first born in a case, in the house where the blood was not, dead. That explains of what we hear, mixed multitudes. Some Egyptians became suspicious of this new God who is invading their country, their land, and is such a mysterious God that is hard to place. He seems actually is a homestead God. Why? Because he has no land, he has no sovereignty of anything, but is really making us dance on his tune. When the news came that the Israelites have said that our God is going to destroy the firstborn, some of them took that talk seriously. And they also put blood on their houses. Then nothing happened to them. Hence, we will get what is known in that narrative, mixed multitudes, who are not typical is the Israelites, but who had of a plan of the blood, gentlemen and ladies. I vowed not to use those commercial language. Brothers and sisters. Blood. Brothers and sisters. Even if it would have been Aaron himself found in the house which has no blood and is the firstborn, he will go. Why does he go when he is holy and he has now tuned his mind to Yahweh and so on and so forth? No. You don't live or die by tuning mind to Yahweh. This week we are in for this. Yes. The power which kills you and me is the state of sin. And when God is fighting the state of sin, my dear, my brother and sisters, you better listen. Your life is at stake. Pharaoh, you know what happened to him? He destroyed himself completely. When the Israelites went over, now as a people of Yahweh, not a people of Pharaoh anymore, they are going to sing a victorious song. You see? Yes. The song of Miriam and Moses, which many of you have read in the book of Revelation, that when Jesus comes back to take us to heaven, we are going to sing the song of Moses. What is the composition of that song? Which is so timeless that God cannot have another composition except that one of Moses. If you look at it very quickly and very fast, you'll find out that it praises Yahweh and Yahweh alone's act of salvation. There's no room of saying, hadn't I given Yahweh something. The song, we may not sing exactly the same words, but the spirit which is behind the song is the most important one for all of us. Who does what? Yahweh alone. When will this thing sink in your minds, you Christians? As the men of you stand here, where is my young man? I don't know. Is he okay? I forgive him. He's with his sweetheart. Sorry, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I'll never do that again. You know what? We Christians, we think that we cooperate with Jesus. I don't know whether lack of semantics or language, I don't know. All of you believe that to go to heaven, Jesus is 50% and you are 50%. Yes. Don't you see? I accepted. I allowed it to follow him. Don't you see that it is a plus? Mm-hmm. I go to church. Don't you see that I sing songs on special item? Mm-hmm. Can't you see that I support his work? Isn't that credit on my? That's why you are very annoyed when we say heaven is free. How can heaven be free when I come in the camp meetings. I sacrifice all my businesses and I run to come to the camp meeting. And when I come to the camp meeting, I participate. For example, that young man is always behind those machines so that they are working. Now tell him that heaven is free. Now I have even taken him out. Go back to that one of subset. Now I have even up. I have even taken him out. There you are. There. When we become new creatures or creature with good works, we become dead, and very vindictive and very aggressive to anything which seemingly eliminates me from showing my contribution to my salvation. I repeat, we become very vindictive. For me, I can't be any other religion except Christianity, because Christianity has spoiled me. Yes. I cannot be under pressure. What is it? Time? It has shout. You people be thankful to Jesus. I can't see why you resist these things. But now let's go back there. New creature with good works. I'm beautifully doing very well. When the church board meets, my name is always floated. Nowhere, nobody else. Unless I say no, that's where they can consider an alternative. But I am always number one to be considered. And when I am forgive me, chief elder, I do my job as these people are suffering very much to make sure that this thing is a success, isn't it? Yes. You people, you are not the organizers. You only come, but the organizers agonize. They're the ones who know how much money is there. Are we to make it? Will we not make it? What shall we do? Then after the committee, you tell them that all your service has not contributed a thing to go to heaven. They will say, foul. Mama. Then why should we be working? Yes. Chief editor, you are sleepless nights with your fellow editors, plus church, you are church pastor, and we who are not organizers, who only know that the days come and I will go to eat and I will speak and I will go and I will sleep. You are not getting a single plus in heaven. That's when it is very painful, isn't it? He says, what can I? Now all of those will recover. Relax. You see, yes. Those who are here since Friday, they are no longer shocked with such a statement. You see, yes. Why can't God give me a plus? Because of that. Blood was saying, look at the blood alone. Don't look at achievements, but the blood. And we will continue to explore that element very seriously from the very beginning. So where did you get this idea that Lord's Supper is only for holy people? Lord's Supper comes from the Passover. Jesus told his disciples, I want to eat the Passover with you. Are you with me? Read your Bible, please. Professor Mugerwa will not be giving you every verse, because this is in the Bible. He told his disciples, I want to eat the Passover with, let alone is what became the Lord's Sea. Where did you get these ideas of taking roll call to see whether this brother has has sister. For some of us who saw Adventist in the 60s, I can see a lot of ladies here who would not be eating Lord's Supper. Now, for you will eat. Chances are that you will. But Mama, for you, impossible. Yes, you cannot come to the table of our Lord. Look, impossible. And the pastors were very tough. Please let me tell you something. A messenger and a sender are not the same. And I'm very happy that God himself came on this planet. Himself. But are you aware that God himself, when he came to this planet, the holy people looked at what he was doing and they categorized him below standard of holiness? Am I wrong? I repeat. The man they were attacking that you are below standard of holiness was God himself. Thanks that he came. It is good that himself he says, you people, this planet of yours is a very hard planet. But for me, I have conquered it, but hang on, isn't it? A messenger is always deadly. And we pastors, we are messengers. And when God has sent me, who can dare to joke with the messenger of God? I boom and I thunder. Yes, I thunder. I say, no. By the way, choirs, you remember? You remember I told you that I was in Dar es Salaam. I've been to Dar es Salaam many times. But I asked, why are the choir members have short hair like this of mine? The answer was, my friend, pride. You see, when we come to sing for the Lord, we must be humble. That's number one. Nywere can make people proud. Nywere. Everywhere it was nywere. I turned my eyes to the pastor's wife. Exactly as you see my head. I said, Mama, holiness has become deadly. On that fatal day, Yahweh instructed his angels. Please, angel, don't care who are occupying that house. Don't ask questions. The day is coming when they will be educated properly. But the day hasn't come. Don't ask who are here, whether they are murderers or committing adultery, name whatever, all garbage of living, nywere standing like this, let them stand in any way they want. You look at the blood, you pass over. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Please back to the thing. Who told you to take off? There. Cooperation with human for salvation. A creature, you should not say amen yet, because the word cooperation, cooperating, the G is supposed to be there, cooperating with Jesus. The holy people, they keep on telling us, for me, I am cooperating with Jesus. But have you ever understood what the word to cooperate mean? I cooperated with him. That means Jesus plays his part, and I also play my. The two combined is equal to salvation. I don't want to hear amen. That means that means you have not understood, mama. I don't want to hear amen. I come again, new creature. good works only, plenty. Yes, pastors, I am here, I am preaching, I'm doing good works. My things at home, they can die, but I'm preaching. God, you see me? Yes, make sure that you give me a special place. Yes, because I'm cooperating. And so the subset thing comes, Jesus Christ cooperating with the human people for salvation. Yes, and so maybe 50-50. I agree that he came and he died for me. But I also cooperate with him. Can't he see that the work here is now built on me? Yes. I told you in Chigari, one man in Chigari with the tears immediately after the genocide, they took me and they built me a tower reaching there, and I was up there so that the 7,000 to 8,000 people in the stadium can see me. But after preaching, I came down and the man came and said, Pastor, you have told us the love of God, the love of God. But do you know what took place here? And I said, I know. How can you tell us about the love of God? Before that day, I sold my 2 cows. And one, I gave it to God as a tithe and then plus offerings. And the money I got from another cow, I fixed that church, which was almost collapsing. And I remained with no money. You see, just only 1 week later, I saw my 4 kids being chopped. I ran and I was hiding. They all chopped off their heads in my presence. What happened to my 2 cows? Pastor answer, as if I am the one who chopped. Pastor answer. I answered him, are you still having some more cows? He says, yes. Sell some more and give to God. But this time, stand on a different platform in giving. This platform of cooperating with God, leave it for now. Yes, because good works, good works is nothing but good advice. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. That is not good news. They are just advising you. And that's what we preach as a good advice. Always yep, for hours we yep. Salvation of God is good news because he's the one who works. The man looked at me with the wide eyes and said, you want me to sell more cows and give God? I said, yes. That was the first day. And I told him I am here to stay for more days. Let me see by the time we finish this camp meeting whether you will not sell more cows and give it to God. The year was 84. This is in 1983 and 84. From 82. I was the principal of Bugema College. But by then it was a college, it was not a university. Everybody, people were running away because the freedom fighters, and I will leave it that way, they were fighting to bring us freedom. Don't ask me whether it came or not, but you just know. You just know that they were fighting to bring us freedom. And it was a hard time. Bugema University is in Luwero district where the war started. And the army people of the government were not handling us with the pity. You see, they were not. And even the freedom fighters themselves, and this is a story of the freedom fighters themselves. They took a long time before they came to Bugema University. But we used to hear rumors that at the neighboring towns like Busika, they were sleeping in the bush. Kalungu, which is next year, they were sleeping in the bush. Chiwenda, by then I did not go to Chiwenda as to settle. I was on the campus. Everybody around us was in the bush every night, sleeping there, whether rain come what may, drivers ants come what may. But Bugema had been relatively safe so far. Pastors began to say, Bugema is a special place. Is an ample eye of Yahweh himself. I didn't answer. For me, I knew it was just a matter of time. Let us always pray and fast so that he may send his angels with the swords to secure. Fine. But for me, I knew it is just a matter of time. There are so many incidents, by the way, and of course the time came and they struck. I was just bathing when 30 heavily armed people surrounded my house, and my wife, we were young by then. She was 23, young, and I was almost coming to 30. Says, Daddy, come and see, we are dead. Sure enough, to remove a towel and put on a trouser, it was it was a catastrophe. But God helped us and we survived it. It is a very long story. I want to make it shorter. The next day, holy people who cooperate with Jesus invaded the campus. What happened? How come? They're asking me, how come? I said, I don't know. Is there any Akan? Akan, you know that Akan man who stole things and the whole place was punished? Is there any Akan? Because for us, we are the ample eye. Shall we pray? I went down to my knees, tired, devastated. But what can you do when pastors have come to pray? We pray. Pastors have descended upon a place. Long prayers, God, make sure that the devil does not repeat this. In other words, he's saying, let others be sleeping in the bush, but for us, akuna, let us be in our blankets, kicking, sleeping when others because we are the ample eye. They did that twice, and I survived. And whenever that happened, they descended in numbers or swords of the Bible. They were quoting verses. They knew which verses talks about swords very well. As many of you want me to give you verses. Fine. Then my church pastor suggested one Sabbath. In those days, we were under East African Union. And East African Union used to give me a vault of Kenya money in case we come for the meetings. Because in those days, Kenya money in Uganda was gold and nowhere you could get any. And it has remained so after 40 years of liberation. Now I continue. So I looked at that money and I said, let me since tomorrow is fasting, I did not want to refuse because I will become an Akan. You see, so we went to church and I took all the vaults which they give me because I knew it would be stolen. And by the way, afterwards it was still taken from the coffers of the church, but it was not. And God didn't even lift a finger. I was there, she standing as they were taking at a gun point, and God didn't even lift a finger. Says, I slap you if you touch this. So me, I know how God works very well. You are the only, some of you are just young in faith, or you decided to remain young. Yes. That day, we fasted, we sang songs, we prayed. Songs, the whole book we sang from page 1 to the end. All the songs we knew were sung. We are marching to heaven, we marched. We are marching there, what have you. We sang almost everything. And we prayed. And I gave the biggest offering because all the Kenya money in the vault I had hidden, I got it out and I dumped it in the basket. Sawa moja, as we were ready to go home, I lived behind the chapel. I walked back to go home. I had a bamboo bush. 4 heavily armed people were following what we are singing in the church from the beginning to the end. And as I approached my home, they jumped up out of the bamboo bush. I didn't take a step. One here, gun. And then I asked them, what do you want me to do? He says, we have come for you, okay? And you'll have to drive us to take you to our boss. But be careful, where we are taking you, you may not come back. But fasting, we have fasted. Isn't it? The vault of Kenya money, I have dumped it. I didn't even leave a shilling. I dumped it in God's basket. And before they left, they made sure that they take it. At a gun point, he says, take us where the money you have collected in the church is. Yes, please. And when they entered, they took everything. They said, now, put in the key and then drive. I drove. When I came to the gate, I begged them, can I pray? He says, yeah, you can pray anything, but you have been praying in the church for... See? But you have prayed ever since. We have been waiting for 5 hours and you are praying. And you are still praying. I said, well, let me pray. This time I prayed for them. I did not pray for myself. I prayed for them. The commander who was seated in front with me, he says, drive heading Kampala. I drove. Halfway before we went very far, he told me, stop here. Where we are taking you, you are going to die. But I forgive you. Go back home. Your prayer was very good. My dear friends, I walked slowly back home and I thanked God. I thanked God. I was walking slowly, thanking God that I am still alive. You are wonderful. And I was. Forgive me. When I talk of these things, I become sick.
His mercy only meant set free. For oh my God, He found out me. Amazing love, how can it be that thou, my God, shouldst die for me?
Okay, thank you. We thank the Lord for His mercies and the grace that are very new every single day in our lives. We depend upon that grace even now and forevermore. We are so happy that our choir from Kisumu, from Mamboreo Harvest SDA Church, they go by the name of Capstone. The Lord has been gracious to them. They have arrived safely. A few of their members are on their way in the next 1 or 2 days because of some 1 or 2 issues that they had to